Jurassic World Dominion is said to be the culmination of events for nearly 3 decades of stories in the Jurassic Park universe. Over the last several years, the films have introduced several different dinosaur species, ideas on genetic engineering, and thematic elements that haven't exactly been paid off completely just yet. However, this film is pretty much billing itself as the end-all be-all of the built-up lore, and it's something that fans of the franchise are eagerly anticipating for that very reason. But what does that mean in regards to the film series in general? And what if the movie is unable to deliver on that promise? Today, I wanted to go over what I think Jurassic World Dominion needs to do in order to be a great end to not only the Jurassic World trilogy, but also the 6-film story as a whole, and how Colin Trevorrow's new movie can achieve that through just a few very basic ideas. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I feel like I've got a really good understanding on what the fans of this franchise, the people that really pay money to see it, want to see in this movie. So I'm going to be going over all of that right now. Now, before I go any further, I want to mention to you guys that today's video is sponsored by CuriosityStream, the world's first streaming service addressing our lifelong quest to learn, explore, and understand, offering up thousands of nonfiction titles, documentaries, and exclusive originals from some of the world's best filmmakers. This is the place to find fascinating stories that are entertaining without any sort of nonsense. CuriosityStream is the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, and the Disney Plus for the scientists in us all. And at under $20 a year, it's extremely affordable, coming out to about $1.67 per month. CuriosityStream has always been the perfect sponsor for my channel due to their wide selection of dinosaur documentaries, just like this one called Prehistoric Creatures, which has this great look at the extinction event from the late Cretaceous, as well as some paleontologist insight to go along with it. CuriosityStream is the entertainment brand for people that want to know more, and it's available on Roku, Android, Xbox, iOS, Chromecast, Amazon, Apple, and several smart TVs as well. New shows come out every week, so whether you want to learn about science, sports, music, technology, nature, or history, you can find it all on CuriosityStream. Go to curiositystream.com/Clayton for unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and nonfiction series. And just for you guys, use promo code Clayton and you'll save 25% off, which comes out to only $14.99 a year. So click the link below or go to curiositystream.com/Clayton, save 25% off right now, which again is only $14.99 for the whole year. So once again, thanks to CuriosityStream for sponsoring today's video. Now, back to Jurassic Park. Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now, of course, when it comes to what makes a good movie, we all know that boils down to the skeleton of a good story and characters. So I don't really think I need to go over that when it's kind of already a given factor in determining a movie's value. When it comes to the Jurassic Park franchise specifically though, I think there is a lot that Dominion needs to do in order to deliver a satisfying ending to what's come before. And one of the ways the movie can do that actually spins off of the basic underline of story and characters. You see, the return of people like Alan Grant, Ellie, Sattler, and Ian Malcolm needs to be done in a believable way for this movie to make any sort of sense. So far, Dr. Henry Wu and Ian Malcolm's returns in Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World weren't really outrageous or weird in comparison to other franchise legacy character revivals that we've seen happen over the last 10 years. Many fans of the Michael Crichton novels were very happy to see B.D. Wong take that character into a more faithful adaptation of the source material through the new dialogue and a more ambitious portrayal of the scientists so far. So I don't really think it's out of Colin Trevorrow's wheelhouse to do Dr. Grant and the others justice in their return. Although I will say that the head of Biosyn, Lewis Dodson, is another one that will be equally important to pull off. If the filmmakers can deliver a book-accurate Dodson in the new movie, I think that's going to be something that fans everywhere will get a lot of enjoyment from. But there also comes the added nuance that normal audiences have no idea that the seemingly unimportant red shirt guy from Jurassic Park was actually something of a wannabe murderer and psychopath in the books. Getting Dodson right is going to be the key to seeing Dominion sink or swim, in my opinion, and that's something that I think needs to be done excellently in order to sell the threat of Biosyn's return overall. Now, in order for the film to fully flesh out these sort of ideas when it comes to the plot and character work, I think one thing that Sam Neill has already said has to be taken into account as far as the movie's length is concerned. A while back, the actor said that they literally shot a 6-hour movie, which is obviously a bit hyperbolic, but it does go to show that they filmed a lot of stuff for this 6th Jurassic Park film. And while I think it is ridiculous to expect a 6, 5, or even 4-hour film to get released into theaters, I think a movie that has a lot of footage designed specifically to be edited together in order to tell the full story of Dominion needs to be, at the very least, the longest Jurassic World movie we've gotten so far. I say this because one of the things that I think really hurt Fallen Kingdom was the editing down of the movie's runtime, which originally was close closer to around 30 minutes of extra footage that we never got to see. While I can understand things like cutting the film down to fit in more showtimes that a little 2-hour movie would allow, Spider-Man No Way Home has already proven to be one of the most profitable films in years, and that movie is far longer than just 2 hours long, and it's more like approaching 3. There's absolutely no version of Jurassic World Dominion that I think could skate by on a standard Jurassic Park runtime of 2 hours with that many significant scenes featuring additional character moments, plot details, or even just fan service that we know they shot that would only serve to make the movie that much more enjoyable to the audience. Now, if the film comes out around with a standard 2-hour and some extra minutes worth of movie, that's going to be just another chapter in my opinion, and that's mainly due to the fact that if they filmed that much material for the movie, it's got to be at least a little over 3 hours of usable content. And I think that's the kind of material that just needs to be left in the final film as much as humanly possible. I'm not saying it needs to be 3 hours, but come on guys, this is going to be the penultimate Jurassic Park movie. Why can't it be 2.5 or 2 hours 45 minutes or maybe even close to 3 hours? Another thing that I think this film needs to do is 100% explain what the hell is going on with Site B. Now, I know that Isla Sorna was name dropped in Fallen Kingdom, and there are Easter eggs in Jurassic World that specifically allude to the dinosaurs from that island being in the park, but with all of that being said, I think the audience is well deserving of some sort of dialogue or visual storytelling that goes into detail about how that island is doing right now. We have a lot of information on what's happened to it over the last few years, but if this is supposed to be a true end to both pre-existing trilogies, I think the importance of Isla Sorna should be gone over in full during the runtime of this movie, or at least some point in the plot. That being said, I'm totally not saying they need to pump the brakes on everything and just center their whole story around the second island, not at all, but I do think it should be talked about and explained in full detail just to truly cover all the bases that need to be covered in this film. Then of course we have the implementation of legacy dinosaurs that should be seriously considered for the movie. If this thing is supposed to be truly a Jurassic Park 6, there are a few animals that need to show up no matter what. Fan favorite creatures like the Dilophosaurus is one that has already been confirmed to return, so that alone is something that I'm sure will be well received. However, other animals also need to at the very least be addressed. I know that Camp Cretaceous recently brought back the Spinosaurus, but I can't see a version of Dominion that doesn't have that dinosaur as well, or at least a mention of its existence, feeling like a true continuation of Jurassic Park 3. Granted, I know Jurassic Park 3 doesn't exactly have the greatest reputation in the world, but this is a sequel that's throwing Alan Grant back into the mix, so it's got to have some mentions of his last run-in with dinosaurs somewhere, right? After that, there are more specific things, like the designs of unique dinosaurs. If the movie is truly going to be diving into Isla Sorna lore and even doing a flashback with the embryo box that we all saw a set image of back in 2020, well, I think the filmmakers need to take the canon seriously and show us era-accurate dinosaurs for what they're trying to represent. For example, if part of Dominion takes place in 1997 or maybe 1993, from, a flashback, which is what a lot of fans have been speculating on for a couple of years now, a true fan would be kind of annoyed and feel disrespected if they saw a reused model of Blue or one of the new Jurassic World Parasaurolophus instead of a dinosaur that would have been accurate to the time in which they were supposed to exist in canon, such as a tiger-striped animal or a Lost World variant of Parasaurolophus. Camp Cretaceous recently showed off a couple of female T-Rexes that look way inaccurate to what was already established as coming from Isla Sorna, so this is something that I felt like I might as well talk about while the movie still has a few months left before its release. Canon is important. If you don't have canon, you don't have rules, you don't have a universe. So that's kind of important for me to throw out there. And little issues in the canon like this are actually more serious than I think most people realize, and they're totally avoidable, such as the missing Isla Nublar on the Lost World Jurassic Park map, or the changed position of the lagoon in Fallen Kingdom. All it takes is like a little bit of extra work to make sure everything makes logical sense, and I personally don't think that's too much to ask for. Now, the return of Biosyn is one thing that I'm hoping is pulled off really well in the film's plot as well, because after the events of the first movie, you'd think these guys would just move on into either Nublar or at the very least Site B, especially after the whole world learns of a T-Rex running around in San Diego. So their sudden reappearance is a little bizarre to me, in all honesty, but it definitely needed to happen sometime in these films, and since it didn't happen in the Lost World, I think most fans are fine with saying better late than never. If they can tell a story that believably explains where Dodson, Biosyn, and the whole team of people who basically took down Jurassic Jurassic Park have been over the last few decades, people will be satisfied. The whole story of what happened to the shaving cream can itself has been one that video games and unused screenplays have tried to tackle in the past, since it was something Spielberg envisioned as a through line for Jurassic Park 2 back in the 90s. And I'm not saying that the Barbasol can has to be in the movie. All I'm saying is this is definitely an idea as far as where Biosyn has been and what they've been doing in the shadows that I think they also need to explore just to make the whole film series logical. The Jurassic Park and Jurassic World trilogies are kind of difficult to accurately compare to other things that we've seen come out before in the past. I don't really think we can line them up directly with Star Wars because, and remember, this is coming from a serious fan, I really love this stuff. I don't really think the first 3 movies play out like the original trilogy at all as far as a story arc goes. I mean, they don't carry on with the same protagonist, there isn't really an honest through line, and the movies just kind of made themselves up as they went along. However, I will say that the Jurassic World trilogy actually does resemble maybe the prequel trilogy to some degree, and I mean that in a good way, by the way. These new films have opened up a lot of different things to the franchise that didn't used to exist before in a similar way that Darth Maul, the Trade Federation, and pod racing did during those films. And they act as a true linear story that builds off of what came before, while at the same time expanding upon what we saw in the earlier trilogy, just like the prequels. However, Jurassic World was received way more positively than The Phantom Menace, so that is something to consider, especially since Revenge of the Sith is really what made that set of 3 movies so loved by audiences who paid attention and stuck around with the story through thick and thin, which brings me to my final point. In the end, all that really matters is a satisfying conclusion. If you don't have a good ending, then everything that came before could possibly be looked at as being somewhat unfulfilling. I think the newer Star Wars movies suffered from this, and it's something that we kind of saw happen with the Battle of the Five Armies and other franchises as well. An audience will forgive you if you get 1 or 2 strikes before hitting a massive home run, which is what you can even see went down with something like Episode 3 on sites like Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of us came back to this franchise eager to see more installments after being disappointed in something Jurassic had done in some way, shape, or form in the past. I know people that really disliked the original movie because they thought it didn't really do a good job at representing the book, but then came back around in 2015 because Jurassic World added a whole lot of that stuff back in. And I myself was kind of disappointed in Jurassic Park 3, while others have openly said that they hate The Lost World or Fallen Kingdom or some other chapter in this franchise. In the end, there's a lot of goodwill that I see people having for Colin Trevorrow and this new Jurassic World film as a whole. But in order to really knock it out of the park and make a truly satisfying conclusion to all 5 of the previous movies, these are the things that I think the film has to do while simultaneously paying off the setup that took place in the last one. And in my opinion, that is totally something that I think they have the ability to do. Anyways, guys, these are all just my own thoughts and opinions on the subject matter. The trailer is going to be out in just like a couple of weeks' time. I'm really excited for this movie. I know a lot of you are too. I just wanted to do this sort of checklist to say, hey guys, you guys making the movie. We talk to fans all the time. They're in the comments section. They're all over the place. There's like thousands upon millions of views I get. This is what I think they want to see. But with all that being said, I'm literally going to ask you guys, what do all of you think? How can Jurassic World Dominion be the greatest version of itself when it comes out this summer? And what would you like to see go down when it's finally released? It comes out in just a few months. So whatever your own thoughts and opinions happen to be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Now before I go, I'd like to thank all of my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Guys, it really means the world to me that you all continue to support what I do, and I never want you to ever forget that. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's video and hope that you all enjoyed the content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. I'll see you all in the next video, guys, and as always, take it easy.